Hello and welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Victoria Craig joining us to talk about her life and all of the great things in her work that she does. And I will give a little bit more about her background. So, Victoria is a heart and purpose led conscious entrepreneur who's been on a deeply spiritual journey of self love, self acceptance, and healing. She's walked through the fire many times than she can count and turned her pain into purpose and stepped into her soul's highest calling to become a medicine woman, plant medicine and breathwork facilitator, and feminine embodiment coach and mentor both online and in person through her retreats. She is the founder of the Soul Rising Retreats, a safe and trauma-sensitive space for women to come together to heal, rise, and reclaim their feminine gifts and power through the magic of plant medicine, breath work, and feminine embodiment. It's through feminine body wisdom, nervous system regulation, subconscious reprogramming, plant medicines, and somatic embodiment practices that she takes women on a journey of sacred self-love and healing to help them tap into their feminine gifts, reconnect with their bodies, and awaken more passion, pleasure, confidence, and purpose in their life. Oof, that is super, super juicy. So, Victoria, can you please introduce yourself and say hello to our audience today?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for that. My name is Victoria, and I think we've kind of, got it down there in a nutshell, everything I do. But for me, my work is just really with women and helping women to embody more self-love and really a journey of coming home to ourselves and to our bodies and feeling safe to live in our physical bodies. Often we're very disconnected from our body. We can often have a very dysregulated nervous system, and we're lacking this inner safety. And all the work that I do is really to really anchor in and root into that safety that we feel as that we can experience as women, and really to tap into like how powerful we are, because we have been shut down. And we're more powerful than we ever could have imagined. Women are very, very gifted. I mean, we have a portal that can bring a soul from the universe into the 3D. I mean, hello.
Yes, yes, we are. We are such powerful, wonderful, magical, magnetic beings. So, with that, I would love, first question would be, what sparked your interest in really doing this body work and embodiment work and bringing this medicine to the world?
Honestly, it's through my own journey and my own experience. I, I say I walked through the fire. I've been to hell and back more times than most people in this life. I've experienced a lot of my own trauma, pain, and illness and dysregulation and challenges, and also being in a place of like really living a very shut down and unfulfilled life. And there just came a point where things had to change, and I took this journey. I turned to spirituality. I started to travel. I left my country. I actually now live in Mexico. And it's the plant medicine, it's the breath work, it's the feminine embodiment, it's the sister circle, sisterhood. These are all the things that made such a big difference in my life. And interestingly, like the Soul Rising retreat it's really everything that has helped me on my journey, like in one container.
Mm.
And even to go deeper, and it's only a realization that I had myself is, and this was quite recently, is that it's everything that I wished I'd had and didn't have. Now I had all of the elements of these, but not all together with the sisterhood, with the support, with the people to hold me. So it's funny, like we create what we want,
Oh, yeah.
right?
100%. I think about like the work that I do and I'm creating for myself is all like, this is what I want, right? Like, like, oh, okay. Like I look at different containers that I can be a part of, and I was like, that's great. But if only it had this aspect, or if it only had this aspect, I would like it'd be even better, right? And then I'm like, well, who's to say that I can't create that? And I think that's super magical.
It is, and and this is where we make an impact, and this is where we bring things in that are different. We might be pulling at concepts and modalities and tools from lots of different places, but there's people out there that really resonate with exactly what we're creating, and also with what we have been through and what we've experienced in our life. That's often what I find why women come into my retreats or come into work with me in whatever way that is. It's because there's parts of my story they see themselves in me. Is that the right way around? Yes.
Yes.
See, like, did I make sense there? And that's really, and I look at anyone that I have gone into a container with or a retreat space, or there's something within them that I deeply resonate with.
Mm.
And it's not actually, it's so important for us to be certified to, in my space to be trauma informed. It's important for us to be qualified and do all of the learning and the training, but our life experience is huge. This is where we tap into our own inner wisdom.
Exactly. And I see like our journeys as, like some people might feel maybe shame or something around something that they've experienced, but really it tends to be kind of a catalyst towards our own healing and how we can show others to be healed along this journey.
And shame is it's the lowest if you're looking at the vibrational scale of emotions,
Mhm.
it's the lowest, so it's ultimately the heaviest in our body, and it really stops us from doing so much in our life, but it's something that we need to talk about more. It's something I've been sat with myself recently, noticing observing my own thoughts, observing things that have come up, and there's been shame underneath so many of them. And in our retreats, we do some womb healing, and we actually do like a circle around shame where we all, including the facilitators, we share something that we have been holding on to shame about. And generally, these are things that often the women have never shared with anyone. And in just bringing your voice to it and being in a space with no judgment and only compassion, we're able to release and let go. And then the other thing that happens is, me too, me too, me too. Like, there's many other people that have experienced or are experiencing exactly the same as you. And when I dig into shame, I'm like, it's always because of my conditioning, my
Mhm.
societal conditioning or my familial conditioning. Obviously, I wasn't brought up religious, but religious conditioning can hold a lot of shame for a number of women as well. And starting to like unpack these. Because it's a program, it's conditioning, it's what we've been told, it's what we've been learned. It doesn't mean it's the truth.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's something that we have to hold on to. It doesn't mean that we've done something wrong or that there's something wrong with us.
So magical. Like I feel like I'm having an out of body experience right now just listening to you. It's so true. Like, and I love the connection aspect of your work and I heard you say community and sisterhood. Because so many of us crave that connection, right? And I like to say that like humans are pack animals. Like we were meant to have our pack, our community, our sacred circle to be a part of. And it actually, in the conversation of shame, it brought up a memory of mine because I come from like a theatrical background. And one of the biggest things that has always impacted me was having like directors and people facilitating a space where we as actors and a part of this small blip in our time of creating this magical moment that we're going to take to the audience of really connecting in and sharing parts of ourselves and talking about ourselves. And one class I did something like this, and a girl shared her story, and there was not a dry eye in the room, and it was just like so moving and magical, and something that I'm going to keep with me for years and years and years. And I know that we're all still connected years later.
And the thing is, I love that you shared that, because this is what we want. Vulnerability does breed connect. We hear that so much. Vulnerability breeds connection, but it really does. When you look at someone like that being so vulnerable with their own experience and their own story and sharing, like the emotion of that, we really tune into that and we feel it, and then we feel connected to that person, and we want to know more. And it gives us permission to open up more, to be vulnerable. Like, we all have different experiences, but we're kind of all going through the same shit as well,
Hmm.
in different ways. It's just we've got this be strong, shut down, don't talk about it. The more we share, we really, oh my God, I'm not in this alone. Like we're all going through we're all trying to navigate this human experience. And, it comes with many challenges, it's ups and downs. I remember when I was growing up, adults being like, when I was your age, or, enjoy this because adulthood's hard. And when you're a kid, you're like, oh man, I just want to be an adult. And now I'm like, man, I wish I was a kid again. They were right.
Right?
I find myself saying that. Joking.
Yes. I find myself like in this space of now, like, I'm gonna play more. How do I play more? Because
Mm.
I like to see like I had someone else show up and she called the space like Earth Playground. And I was like, ooh, I love that. The idea of never actually fully growing up, like even as adults, we're still playing. We don't know all the answers. We're still exploring. Like death is the end of the exploration and the end of the play. So why do we take life so seriously?
And we have, we all have that inner child. We have that child part of ourselves, but we become, and it's something I'm trying to do like more myself at the moment, is play, just even in my own like energy in my own company. But we become so incredibly serious. And like I was doing research, I was like, when did life get so serious? And I'm British as well, so like it's another level of like being reserved and being shut down. I always joke with clients, like, when I'm working with someone from the UK, that someone that's British versus maybe someone from the US, I'm like, add like another 10 layers or another 10 walls to kind of break through or unpeel.
For sure. I totally understand that. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But yeah, like ultimately, I feel like this work, and it's so funny because we talk about we're all going through similar things, right? It might look like it's different packaging, but we all have very similar emotions that we can all connect in. And I think it's interesting that on the flip side, we're all doing kind of similar work in terms of like coaching, mentorship, facilitating, and it just looks a little bit different. But we get to connect with people, so many different people, because there's so many different people in this world, and there's so much space and abundance for all of us to really dive in and play.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you shared that, and I just couldn't agree more. There's
It's
room
so
for all of
wonderful.
us.
Yes. So I want to talk a little bit more about breath work because it's something that I've experienced in terms of like going and receiving and practicing that. But in terms of something that I've brought to my audience, I haven't really talked about it. So I would love to dive into kind of the mindset behind it and how it all works.
So breath work, I mean, wow, truly can be a life-changing practice. And there's multiple different types of breath work. A lot of people will be familiar with maybe just deep breathing or like box breathing to maybe help like calm the nervous system or calm anxiety, or pranayama, the different yoga techniques that you can use for breathing, which might be, a fast-paced breath which is more sympathetic driven to activate, our energy, or it might be something that's slow or like an alternate nostril breathing to help us kind of calm down and calm that monkey mind and come into our body. The and all of those I use. However, the breath work that I really share with clients is the conscious connected breathwork journeys. And these are, the journeys, maybe 90 minutes long, give or take. And we use a specific breathing technique where we're building, it's a breath without a pause. We're building the oxygen levels up in the body in a way that feels safe for the body and safe for the nervous system. It's actually a parasympathetic driven breath technique, which I use, which just means we're activating more that rest and relaxation part of
Mhm.
the nervous system. And what it does is it allows us to bypass our conscious and our thinking mind and open up our subconscious mind, our emotional body, our pain body, and our limbic brain. While our subconscious mind is really in control 95% of the time, And our conscious thinking mind is like really 5% in control of our results. You know, the rest, the driver's seat is the subconscious. In our subconscious mind are our patterns, you know, our long-term memories and experiences. You know, we have an emotional component there as well, our habits. So really, the key to change is to get into there and to get into the body. Our body holds and stores emotions. Our body holds the stories and the experiences that we've had. And especially when it comes to painful experiences and trauma and wounds, this is all living within us. And when we can access that, we're able to clear energy, to release energy. We can achieve higher states of consciousness as well. So, you know, we could have these out of body experiences. We can connect with ancestors. We could go into past life, very similar to what we can experience with plant medicine, but with our breath alone. And again, there could be, so, you know, during these breathwork journeys, the body might choose to release. Now, there could be, you know, this is, we're looking at somatic release. That could be through breath, which we're constantly doing through the process. It could be through sound. It could be through movement. You know, the body might, sometimes the body shakes. Okay, so the body starts shaking, and that is it discharging energy from the body that it no longer needs. We call it purging, you know, especially in plant medicine, but we can purge through laughter. You know, it's all of this energy that's coming through and out of the body that we no longer need. And that discharge of energy, when we've experienced trauma, you know, if you look at an animal, let's say a dog, for example, and it's being chased by a tiger, obviously it's not, you know, we have the sympathetic nervous system, not a nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic is survival, so it's fight or flight. Well, a dog's going to run away from a tiger, you know, it's not going to fight it. So it flees. So it flees from this. When it gets to safety, the first thing it does is it shakes its body, because it's resetting its nervous system. It's discharging that energy and resetting its nervous system. But us as humans, what happens when we experience trauma, and it doesn't have to be like the big T trauma of, you know, losing a loved one, a serious illness, a bad accident, like severe abuse or sexual trauma. It could just be, you know, being up on stage and stuttering and everyone laughing at you. The body still stores it in the same way. And what we don't have the tools, the capacity, and the resources to process it at the time. So that energy gets stored in the body, and what happens is our body goes into survival. So it's just like, okay, I have to fight or run. So that is where all of our energy is going. It's not thinking about, oh, I need to process the emotions of this. This was really scary. I've got some fear here. I've got some shame, or there's some anger to release. Right. And then we don't go through any process afterwards ourselves to clear ourselves and then to start to heal from that experience. So this is something that we can do through breath work. We see a lot of past wounding being released. We see a lot of suppressed emotions. You know, we are so shut down emotionally. You know, most of us, we were saying before, you know, we've been brought with being strong and expressing emotions, and crying is weak. And, you know, so we put the walls up, we put the masks on, we hold it all in. You know, I didn't cry for years because I thought that was bad. It would mean something about, I became so used to holding everything in. But all that does is lead to discomfort, you know, coping mechanisms, patterns and habits, illness and disease, you know, which I've had quite severe autoimmune. You know, the body shows symptoms, and I had so much just stored and lodged within my body, and we can start to release and create safety back in feeling, because all of our emotions are valid. All of them are safe. So it's having a space to be able to go, okay, I'm feeling really angry. I can actually feel this and express this. It doesn't mean a lot of people think of anger as aggression, right? It doesn't mean I'm going to go project it onto someone or scream at them or beat them up. It just means maybe I'm going to have a tantrum or scream into a pillow, or like do some like movement or exercise or breath that's going to let me move through that. In breath work, that might be letting out a great big howl, you know, but we've bypassed our conscious and thinking mind. So we're not thinking, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh, what are people going to think? Oh, what's wrong with me? The body is leading. So if it needs to express some rage or anger, it'll express it. If it needs to have a good cry, it'll cry. And we create that safety back in feeling and being like, oh, okay, I can. And you know, the lightness that you can feel after these journeys. It's this is the thing, people are like, I feel physically lighter in my body. And they do, and you often see it, like we glow in a different way, you know, our skin is brighter, our eyes are brighter. So yeah, that's you know, there's so much that we can experience in a breath work. And again, it shows us how powerful we are and how powerful our body is. Like we can access these altered states of consciousness. You know, I can go into a breathwork journey and I can be traveling the universe. You know, I could be connected with my ancestors. For me, I lost my mother, you know, very suddenly 9 years ago, and now I can be in a breathwork journey and she'll be in there talking to me. You know, which prior to doing any of this healing and this spiritual journey, I never would have believed that was possible.
It's so, oh, that's so powerful and so amazing. Something that kind of came to mind as you were saying, you know, we could have a moment on stage and someone laughs at us. And I thought about it like prior to having like society, right? Like prior to having like when we as humans were more animalistic, if you will, we didn't have these kind of scenarios that would put us in like a flight or flight and like trigger, you know, the sympathetic nervous system that wasn't something that's super dangerous, right? Like it was typically our life was gonna and
Yeah.
right?
Real.
So we have these same feelings and emotions in our bodies, but we're saying like I'm not gonna die, so then we put it back, like we have to like put it in a box. I feel like is like how we've been trained to deal with it. It's like it's not that important, it doesn't matter, so we're going to stuff it down, but it does matter if
Yeah.
we
And
feel
then
something.
it's like, okay, well, everyone laughed at me. I did something wrong. So there's going to be shame. So I'm going to push that as far away from me as possible because I don't want to re-experience or think about that. Because
Mm,
then I'm going to experience those feelings of shame again and the discomfort that I felt in that moment.
yeah. Oh, there's so much to unpack and like so many layers to it and this journey.
Never ending. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Give me a break.
I love that. So I heard you say like retreat. So when is your retreat? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so our next retreat, the Soul Rising retreat, is in August 15th to 22nd in Mexico, Puerto Morelos. So, where would people know? Cancun, Tulum, that kind of area. Actually, I live in Tulum myself,
Ooh.
and it's a combination of plant medicine, breath work, feminine embodiment. So, oh, there's so much in there. And the medicines that we work with, you know, psychedelic medicines, ayahuasca. You know, she is my she is my medicine. Very, very powerful medicine. We work with Rape and Sananga as accompanying medicines. Rape is a sacred tobacco. It's not psychedelic, so it's psychoactive. So we can have some really beautiful experiences, but we're not going to have these psychedelic visuals. The thing is the same that we would experience on maybe ayahuasca or psilocybin mushrooms.
Hmm.
Cambo, which is a frog medicine, which is again, it's not a psychedelic, it's a psychoactive, quite an intense experience. But Cambo is a big physical detox of the body, and also it can work very heavily with our emotional body as well, so we can move through and process stuck emotions. We have daily movement embodiment practices and yoga. We do obviously the breathwork journeys in there as well. We have a lot of workshops in there, so we're helping women really understand their nervous system, and how we regulate, how we self-soothe, how we self-regulate. Really, one of the big intentions of the retreat is helping women come back to a place of regulation. We do a lot of work around like emotions, emotional intimacy, emotional safety. What I will say is the medicines and the breath work, they kind of teach us that. Anyway, I always say like breath work and plant medicine has taught me how to feel again.
Mm.
We do womb healing in there, so womb healing workshops. So we're just connecting back really with the feminine body, with the womb space, with the power of our womb, with our sexuality, our sensuality. We go into cyclical living there. So, how do we live life being aligned with our cycle, we have 4 seasons a month. We don't have a day and night body clock like men. We have
Mm.
hormones that come up and down. We have energy that goes up and down. We have mood that goes up and down. So we really work on teaching women how to connect with their cycle. We have a Temescal ceremony, which is a traditional Mexican sweat lodge. Again, you can have really powerful spiritual, emotional experiences and releases through this. They do get quite hot, it's kind of like a sauna.
Right.
Like igloo type little hut with a fire in the middle, but really a beautiful experience, powerful ceremony. What else do we have there? There's more. We have a play day. Obviously, it's important. So we go out and we go to a cenote with a zip line, and there is a lot in 7 days. But there's plenty of time for integration. You're in the Mexican jungle. The center we use is absolutely beautiful. There's monkeys in the trees. You hear the birds when you wake up in the morning. The time in nature is deeply, healing and regulating. So really, there's a lot in the week, but there's a lot of time to also integrate and opportunity to have support one-on-one. And then in the group space as well. It's a really beautiful experience, and we do offer, we help everyone prepare for the retreat, leading up to the retreat, help them to move through anything that's coming up, because when we're going into these big experiences, and especially with plant medicine, there can be fears, there can be a lot of anxiety, mixing with there's also, we prepare the body, through the food that we eat as well when we're working with medicines. And then we have integration support afterwards as well. So we're supporting the women once they get out of the retreat, once they come home, to really integrate the experience, because it's through the integration is that we become the embodiment of what we have learned through the medicines, through the breath work, through the different practices, through the sisterhood. I mean, the sisterhood, and the women, just the bonds they create is we've actually got a circle tonight, a sister circle, where it's just multiple women from different retreats coming, all jumping online together to get together and catch up. We have, for example, one of our groups from August last year, like in WhatsApp, the chat still pops off. You go away with a group of women who celebrate you through your gifts, your magic, your successes, your wins, but are there to hold you and hold space for you and pour into you for all, any challenge or discomfort or pain that you're experiencing. And that's something I find so beautiful, because we all crave it. But I always say, for me personally, when I'm looking at relationship, I'm like, if you can't have me at my worst, then you don't get me at my best. And that's really the piece that we like to get across. And that's what these women do, is they're there for it all. It's like, all of you is welcome, and you see that in these retreats, because plant medicines and breath, we can be crying, we can be howling, we can be, people see us in our like real vulnerability and rawness and messiness, and being witnessed in that, being held in that with nothing but love is life-changing itself.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
yeah, that's bringing that authentic self forward and seeing that it's accepted. That's so powerful.
And she's loved, and this is it, like, how much more do we connect with people when they're the authentic self, versus like, I'm trying to be who I think people need me to be.
That's so powerful. So who would you say is like the perfect kind of person to show up to these retreats?
I'd say it's someone that most of the women that come in are women that they've started the journey. They might be in the early stages of like a spiritual journey, or a self-love journey. Some of them are much further along, but I do feel like you need to have started this path of self-love, self-development, maybe spirituality, because it's a big experience. It's women that are like, they know they're meant for more. So likely in their life, like, they're not fully fulfilled. They may be just settling or ticking the boxes, or even there's things that are out of alignment that they kind of know, but they are in a little bit of denial about. Like, they know they're meant for more in this life, whether that's more love, a new relationship, whether that's purpose. A lot of women wanting to really understand what their purpose is and follow that. There's a lot of women that come in that are called to the healing space, I'd say it's women also feeling disconnected from themselves, from themselves, but from their feminine essence, energy, and body. So that disconnection from emotions, feeling like I'm more in my head. I live more in my head and my logical mind than I do in my body. I don't feel fully grounded and like living on this earth in my body where I can tap into, fully trust and tap into my intuition and tap into my emotions. Because the feminine is we're in our body, we live in our body. It's our emotions, it's our intuition. That's a big part of feminine essence and feminine energy. Again, people that have, there's past wounds, there's past traumas that they know they haven't healed, or there's patterns showing up in their life that are not serving them or are no longer serving them, and they're just ready to make the change. Like, to come into this experience, you've got to be ready to be like, I'm ready for transformation. It's a big experience, it's a big transformation. Like, the women's lives absolutely change, but it only changes if we're ready for that. So we see a lot of trauma healing through the retreat, and we hold a very safe and trauma sensitive space. Even, I'm not going to go into detail, but the way that we hold our ceremony is very different than the way you might see if you were to go into another, for example, an ayahuasca ceremony, because we are so aware of different trauma responses, triggers, and reactions that can happen through the medicine, and being able to, what does each and every individual person need at every time. So you're not going to be on a mat in pitch black on your own for the whole night. Like, if you are having an emotional experience, a hard experience, you need to be held, hugged, poured into, sung to. Like, we are there for that. So yeah, I mean, there's multiple reasons women come in, but I'd say the past wounding, the trauma, the patterns that they want to get through, the things that are unconsciously in our way and blocking us, that I know I'm meant for more. Like, I want a different path. I'm meant for more in this life. I just don't know what it is, or I don't know how to make the next step. And then that piece of, I'm kind of stuck. I've been stuck in that masculine drive of productivity and force and output. And I want to be connected to my body. I want to be connected to the way that my body functions, the seasons that my body moves through. I want to be able to feel safe in feeling my emotions. I want to let go of shame. Yeah, that's there's kind of multiple things, but and then the women, like, well, actually, one of the biggest things, sisterhood.
Yes.
Connection. It's like, because also, so often when we take this healing, this self-love, this spiritual journey, we're stepping away from what's normal for us, and we often, like, the people that are around us, as beautiful as they may be on a very different path. And what we're doing is the woo-woo, the spiritual,
Yes.
we're stepping outside of that box, and it can be quite lonely because we don't feel that there's people that get us, or like understand us, or can resonate, or we can have the depth of conversations and intimacy that we want. So that sisterhood, it's women that are on the journey with you, they're on the same path.
That's so magical. I love it. I love it.
It really is magical.
Oh, and in that magical vein, so I want to shift to this time to doing a little tarot reading. And so, is there like a question that you would like to ask for ourselves, the audience?
I think I'd like to just see what comes through.
Ooh, what comes through? A nice little general reading.
Very, like, open.
I love this. So we have the Devil, the Queen of Swords, and then the Ten of Pentacles that popped out. And I'm using the Light Years Tarot today. And so first off, we have the Devil, and that Devil really just is this reminder of the vices, whether there's something like, alcohol, sex, drugs, whatever, in a way, utilizing them in a way to like numb ourselves and soothe ourselves, that is keeping us from really connecting in to who we truly are, which is the invitation that we get with this Queen of Swords, being able to connect and communicate with ourselves and express ourselves in a very open and authentic way. And when we learn to really express ourselves and love ourselves and share ourselves with the world, then we have these beautiful Ten of Pentacle moments, which is this like connection, community, abundance, and thriving. And I think this is such a perfect like combination of cards to just come with this conversation of connecting in the retreats and the intention that you have in the space that you're holding for your clients. So I think that is just so wonderful.
That's so beautiful. And just, yeah, some like key messages in there for myself as well. Like it just feels very aligned with, where I am and the path that I'm on at the moment. So thank you so much.
Oh,
So
you are so
another sign from
welcome.
the universe. Supported. That's another one.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
Thank
Is there
you.
anything else that you would like to share with our audience today, Victoria?
I would love to say, because I didn't get a chance at the beginning, you have such a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
You did that little like singing bit. I was like, oh.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I think with with the audience, just if no one told you today you're loved and you're not alone, and there is always support available for you. And no matter how sticky or icky or painful or bad it can be at times, like there is always people out there to hold space, to love you, to pour into you. You are never alone. And I know what it's like sometimes when we go into these spaces of feeling like desperately disconnected and alone. Like just allow yourself to take the step to reach out, to be supported and to be held, because it's all there waiting for you. And when things get dark, like there's a reason, because there is some light that wants to come through, and there's a deeper, when we come out the other side, there's just this depth of understanding of like, oh, I get it. Like I get it. Like I always say when we go into dark places, it's because we are learning to up level, and we're doing it pretty quickly.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your wisdom, your energy. How can people connect with you? I will definitely drop links in the show notes, but is there a space that you think is the best for people to reach out?
I would say to connect personally with me would be through Instagram. So my obviously I know you'll drop it in the notes, but my handle is I am Victoria Craig, or at I am Victoria Craig. And Craig is spelt like the boy's name, Craig. Think Daniel Craig.
Oh, I love it.
That's my Instagram. Just like drop me a DM. I love having conversations with women. I love the platform that connects us, all over the world. And again, we can create community and sisterhood. So that would be the best way to connect with me personally. You can obviously find out more about different ways to work with me there as well. And then also my website, which is www.iamvictoriacraig.com. There's a whole page on there for the retreats if you've got the calling to that. Like if you've got the calling, follow it. But you can have a look on there. And then also, I know we release a little bit later, but I just want to say for anyone that if they do join the retreat and they pop on the application form, that this is where they heard from the retreat, I will honor our early bird pricing, which actually finishes today.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. What a wonderful gift. I love that.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great conversation. I love your energy.
Oh,
You
thank
have
you.
some
Thank you.
spark in me for the rest of the day.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much for listening. Remember, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next one.